Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Ayshxo here. Otherwise, for those of you who are new viewers, I am The Sticky Stitch on Instagram and Ravelry. I have a Ravelry group as well. We have a knit along, crochet along going on. Basically, it's the Scrappy September along. It's continuing. And basically, just make anything from scraps or small items, or it doesn't have to be scraps. I'm not going to be that mean. Yeah, so if you've finished anything small like ornaments, mitered squares, a stripe on a granny blanket, feel free to put it in there, and yeah, you'll be in for a chance to win a prize. It's been a while since I've spoken to you last, and it's actually really weird speaking to you at the moment. I can't hear from one ear. I've been quite sick. I've had quite a bad, and I still do have quite a bad chest infection. But I will, every time I blow my nose or every time I coughing, I will edit them out for you. How have you all been? I've been surprisingly okay, other than being sick. Been quite busy at work. Just was able to get my spot for wool gathering retreat for 2019, so that was exciting. I was really surprised. It sold out within like 20 minutes. It's amazing. It's just getting bigger and bigger, or more popular every year. So I was glad that I was able to get my spot. Okay, so it's been a while. I don't know if I've got everything here, but I've got quite a few finishes, quite a lot of whips, and then quite a lot of purchases as well. Yeah, so let's just get into it, I suppose. Okay, so we'll do the finishes first, and yes, my hair is basically, before I begin, it's greyer now, and I've put a bit of purple through it just to see how it is, and then I haven't decided if I'm going to stay grey or whether I want to just go back to brown and dye my roots every 3 weeks or whatever it is. But I'm enjoying the lighter colour at the moment, but yeah. Anyway, that's enough about that. Okay, so we'll do some finishes. The first item is something that I finished quite a long time ago, but I don't think I ever showed you. I have been wearing it during winter. This is the Brickless Shawl by Martina Bem, and I made it in the Yowza Wider Skein in Berlin, which she actually did for her sample one. And because sometimes I think that I'm attracted to the design because of the yarn used as well as the pattern. So I've made the Brickless in a 4-ply, but you really do need to use something a bit more heavier if you want that warmth, and you need a bit more yardage than a standard 450 yard or metre skein. So this is a Brickless. So you start off with just this little bit here, and it's got 3 different designs. It's got an eyelet, some garter and some ribbing, and then similar to the Brickless, it's got all the teeth, but for each design you do uneven numbers, like there's different numbers for each one, and you finish off. I basically continued knitting until I was sick of knitting it. So I know that I did all the required repeats, but I don't know how many I did or whether I did much afterwards. And it keeps me nice and warm, and I like wearing it. I haven't blocked it. I don't intend to wet block this at all because it's already quite big and long. What I might do is just steam block it with an iron and a wet towel, but I haven't done that yet. I'll do it now that winter's basically over. So there you go. If you want to see that, I love the colours. It's Miss Babs. So that's finished item number 1. Okay, next. I finished a pair of socks, surprise, surprise. These are my Under the Mistletoe socks. And the yarn I purchased this yarn years ago, and it's from Juliana's Fibre and in self-striping, and the yarn is called Under the Mistletoe too. I usually do my yarns, my socks 2 at a time on 1.75 millimeter needles toe up, but I did these slightly differently. I use a 2 millimeter needle because the yarn was slightly thicker, and I did them on DPNs. I did what did I do? I did my Flegel heel that I love. Now a Flegel heel is a gusseted heel for toe up. So you increase there, and that's the back of the heel there. So you end up with a bit of a triangle. So if you can see it, that's a bit of the heel that you're knitting after you've increased. What's that? Oh, it's just a play of the light. So I've finished that. I think I started these years ago, then I changed the pattern, and then I decided just to go plain, so I just did all that. And yeah, I love it. I'm looking forward to wearing them next winter after I sew in some of these ends. And yeah, so that's another pair of socks done this year. Next, okay, and then another sort of finish that I've got is, if you saw on Instagram, I went to a weaving class, Saudi weaving with Dying to Weave, and it was really interesting because her studio is in in Clunes. I'd never been to Clunes. I think Clunes is a foreign name for bloody far away. And it was a beautiful drive, but I was running late, so I didn't actually, even though I drove into the city of Clunes because I had to do a toilet stop, in the town, the street of Clunes. I had to do a toilet stop, but it was just weird because I'm going, it looks like that, the early 1900s, but it's got new cars. That's what the town looked like. Anyway, so I made a scarf in the time allotted. It's not the longest scarf in the world. So sari weaving is just so much fun to do, and with sari weaving what it is it's about just going with the flow. So you're not looking for perfection, you're looking for just going with the flow and just doing your own thing. And I'm trying to find out which side I started on. And I have no idea. Okay, so but this is what it looks like, and I just chose 3 yarns. She's got yarns that you can use, but I wanted to use something from my stash. So these are all Debbie Bliss in the fine tweed, the 4-ply tweed. And yeah, so I just did that. They look like clouds or sheep. I think it's cute. And just did different stitches, and yeah, it was just so much fun. I love how this looks. Doesn't it look fantastic? And it's amazing, like she showed us some, and it just looks like an animal print, the way she had done it. But yeah, so... but I loved it, and surprisingly that didn't take much yarn at all. So even though I was trying to stash bust, didn't really get there because I've still got tons of the yarns and plenty to make a shawl out of the 3 yarns that I use. But just enjoyed it, and if you get an opportunity to do some sari weaving, I highly recommend it, because I actually did a weaving class with her at the Wool Gathering Retreat this year as well. That's why I loved it, and I thought, I've got to go to another class. I really want to do one, so that's that. Okay, another finish that I have, and I'm not sure whether I actually showed you this. I purchased this yarn from a lady who comes to my knit night at the library, and her yarn is called Winning Designs, but she doesn't really have an online presence. But if you were interested in any, I'm sure I can get my hands on it for you. So this is my Aragon cowl, because of the colour blue. The yarn is from Winning Designs, and it's her Touch of Rainbow DK in Topaz Geode. The pattern is called Loop, and Teufelsschwern, which is German, and I'm sure I've mispronounced that. Teufelsschwern. It's written for DK, but I modified it for, no, it's written for figuring and I modified it for DK. I made the pattern repeat shorter, and yeah, so here it is. So you knit this inside out like that. So it doesn't look like much, but the magic happens when you turn it with the pearls on the outside. And look how it looks. I love it. It's just divine. I've made, but those of you who've watched for a long time, I've made a red one of this and given this as a gift. And I purchased this yarn because blues is not colours that I normally go to, but there was something about this gradient, which is, you can see that there, so it's darkest there. And I just kept on knitting until I basically hit the lightest colour, because that's what I wanted to do. You know, upon reflection, if I wasn't using a gradient, I might have only done it that wide. But I love this, and I'm looking forward to wearing this, blocking it and wearing it in the winter. I don't know how much blocking I'll do with this one, but it's such an enjoyable knit. Like, you're always doing something different on every round, but it's an easy pattern to get used to, and I highly recommend it. And again, you can find, it's a free pattern. You can find it if you just go through my Ravelry page for the project. You'll be able to get to the link for the project itself. So that's that one. I also, because I was sick, and I was sick as a dog, I had started reading a new book on my Kindle, and I still haven't got a Kindle cover, so I decided to crochet one. And I didn't do anything special. It's just worsted yarn, Yarn Ink Superwash DK in the colourway Creeper. And I just made a simple Kindle cover. And I just made the button, just crocheting and then sewing. And it just holds my little Kindle, and I got to use up some scrap yarn. And there you go, Bob's my uncle. So love it. And you know, when you do crochet, it's just a reminder of how quick crochet can be. But I really like it. I actually want to make another one, just so that I've got two on the go. One that's getting washed and then another one. But I'll wait till another time when I don't want to work on any project, I want to start another project, but I really should only start one that's going to be finished very quickly. So I'll wait until then for that. So since I saw you last, I think I've gone to a couple of knitting shows. And at one of the knitting shows, I picked up a ball of yarn, which was a DK self-striping sock yarn. So it had some nylon in it. And I had to cast on, and I've also finished them. Man, DK, it's so quick to knit up. So I knit these one at a time on some Knit Pro Zings, which, if you're not familiar with, just these needles here. Love them. There's nothing magic about them, but they're enjoyable enough to knit with, and they're a decent price. So I'm not going to say go out and buy them and, you know, not buy anything else. They're needles. I love using Chow Goose, but I'll use any needle. And you'll see some of these projects have got very cheap needles on them. Don't mind. But the colourway is weird. I don't even know if I've got the card still. Oh yeah, it's DK. So that's the yarn. So maybe if I cover my face. There we go. That's the yarn. And so there is the name. So lilac and something, I can't read backwards. But I've got a bit of yarn left, and so I'll just find some other DK yarn to go with it, sock yarn, which I have a bit, and I'll just make something small for either myself or my niece. Thankfully I'm a size 5.5. So that should be the last of the finishes. Okay, so I'm trying to do this quickly because I don't want it to be a long time, because I don't want you guys to have to hear this voice. And it's, like I said, it's just weird at the moment because I can't hear in one ear. So the next project these are going to be my whips, and this project is in my Bling Your String Star Trek bag. And this is my Sounds of Then hat, because it reminds me of that song. And the pattern itself is the Liguria hat pattern. Now you can just go on all my, if you miss anything, you can go on my project pages, all the details will be there. Needle sizes, pattern, yarn, etc. And this is what I've got so far. I say that because I don't know whether I've done the decreases right. I'm technically on the last line, and it's been sitting there for, I don't know, 3 weeks. But this is the pattern. Don't you love it? It's brioche. It's so easy. I thought brioche was harder than it was. Now I understand why people say it's addictive and why it's easy. The hard part about brioche is when you drop a stitch, knowing how to pick it up. But thankfully there are YouTube tutorials for that. So thank you for all the people that have uploaded YouTube tutorials about fixing your mistakes. I haven't quite worked out how to fix in pattern, but at least I've worked out how to fix some simple drop stitches. So I don't think I got the crown decreases right. So what I might do is just put, I don't know, I haven't decided. So this can just sit in timeout for a couple of more days. And yeah, but I just love it, and this is how it looks on the inside. The yarn is Tandy yarn from the farm. They've got a website where you can buy the yarn. And so this is Shearer's Bluey, which is the dark blue. So it's basically a brown Polworth yarn, and they've overdyed it with blue and navy. And this one technically doesn't have a name. I think the number was 3A. Yeah, but those colours are absolutely magnificent. And it just reminds me, like, every time I pick it up, I hear Ganga Jang singing This Is Australia, which is the song's called Sounds of Then, which is why I called it the Sounds of Then. Love it. Love, 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 love it. And I've got enough for basically another hat too, I think. So I'm looking forward to making a second hat and maybe using a different design, but making another brioche. But it's very pretty. Next is a blanket that I've been working on. I haven't been doing much work on my scrappy blankets and modular projects, so I won't be showing them today. But I did start another blanket, as you do. This one is called Biza's Garden. Biza is my niece's name, and I'm crocheting them. So I'm making a whole bunch of floral squares like that in 3 different colours. That and that one. The green and white yarn is Parchment and Kiwi from Bendigo Woolen Mills in their cotton. The yellow is Daffodil from Bendigo Woolen Mills. And this lilac is Lion Brand 24/7. And one of these might be called red, and one might be called magenta, I can't remember. And they're Lion Brand too, the pinks. And they will be interspersed with these squares. I've got quite a few done, and quite a few ready to be done, because I'm doing it like almost like a production line. So as soon as I get sick of doing one thing, I can start doing another. So I've done some of the plain green ones, and now I have to do the 3 rows on the outside. I'm not following any pattern, I'm just doing it out of my head, and it's been really fun to do. It's just because I do have problems with my hands, I try to use different hook sizes, different hook styles, like an ergonomic one versus a normal one. I use different needle sizes, knitting needle sizes, the really thin ones, and projects that use a thicker needle, just so that I've got variety. I have no problem with having a million whips. And I think I remember texting some friends and saying, I don't know, do you remember how much I said? I was 40 something whips? Yeah. I have no issue because some of those are long-term blankets, so it's not going to be, it's not a huge deal that they're on the go. I think I've got about 7 like that, so, and I'm not worried about those because, like I said, they're long-term. Most of them are using scraps, so they only get worked on when there's scraps to use. So, yeah, and so that's Beeze's garden. The next one, this is also in, what's her name again? Bling Your String bag in Big Bang Theory. So, October was Socktober. So my plan was to start as many projects or work on as many projects as I can, as my needles would allow. I don't think I used up all my needles, but I've used up a lot. So these are, I don't think I started these in Socktober, but I can't remember. It's been so long ago. So this is Patton's Croy, and these are just my bramble socks. So I'm just, again, knitting 2 at a time. I just like the colours. Toe up, I use a Turkish cast on, and I'm doing the Flegel heel and just using the yarn as I go. I'm not really fussed about matching, although these are pretty good matching. So I must have done some yarn management at the beginning. That's all I can think of. Interesting that I did that, because I usually don't bother. And the needles that I'm using are just higher sock needles. These might be a 2.5 or a 2.75 with Patton's Croy. I don't care what anybody says. It's not fingering. I don't care. I don't care what anybody says. It's not fingering. And that's why, because otherwise I would have been using 1.75, and if I made them in 1.75, they would be bulletproof. And the other project that I have in that bag is a project that I started with using some white gum wool. White gum is a yarn brand here in Australia, making ethical merino wool. I purchased this last year at Wool Gathering, and the colour, I think it's called Wildflower. Don't you just love the colours? It's a wool silk mix, and it's a sport, a 5-ply, but it could be argued that it's a light DK as well. And so I cast on some socks with some fancy silk, and I've called these my Appletini silks socks. But all I did was I'm just doing some garter bits and some pearl bits and garter bits and knit bits, and just having a bit of fun. Again, I think these are a 3, but love them on my chow goose. And yeah, so they're living in the same bag as those other socks, because that's how I roll. And this is my yarn bath if you're interested. I actually might work on those today, just so I can get rid of that yarn bath and knit all that yarn bath out. Okay, so continuing on with that sock theme, because it is Socktober. These are my Long Day's Journey socks. I'm using We Love Knitting in Journey, which is this beautiful purpley baby blue, I don't know, just a really fun colour. And I'm knitting them on 100, so what's that? 2s? No, 1.75. 1.75 millimeter needles. The project, sorry, the pattern, this is just all weird. I just feel like I've been talking for hours. Put me on 1.5, it'll be quicker for you. And maybe pause and go and make some coffee. The project that I'm using is Shotgun Shutsi's Cake Hole by Lisa Tomko, and it starts off as a rib pattern, and there's a bit of detail that goes up the leg. So she's written the pattern 2 ways, top and cuff down. So obviously I'm doing the toe up, but I do my own cast on. And I think, yeah, and I'm going to do, rather than doing a short row heel, I'm going to do the fleagle heel for this one as well. But I loved the colour. I love how the colourway is knitting up. Just look at that. It's just pretty. And I'm just keeping that in my fat squirrel bag. And it's Little Red Riding Hood. I've got, you know how people have a thing about like Alice in Wonderland and all that. I love Little Red Riding Hood, and it's got everything to do with that hood. It's so cool. And who doesn't want to, you know, get with a hunky wood chopper? And I was thinking of doing the heel in this contrast colour from We Love Knitting, but I haven't decided yet. But I've got a bit of a ways to go, so that's how those two colours will look. And I know that after I finish the socks I'll have enough for another pair, so it could be that I'll make these plain with just one colour running all the way through, and then making a second pair with contrasting cuffs and toes and heel. Okay, another pair of socks. Let's see. Yep, another pair of socks. So these are my Study in Scarlet socks. The pattern is Baskervilles by, I happen to have the pattern here. Baskervilles by. She doesn't have her name, and I haven't got the whole. Yeah, I haven't got the whole pattern in front of me. And basically it's a dog paw design. So I don't know if you can see it, and in hindsight it's probably not, I shouldn't have done it on these socks, but the socks themselves are Baker Street which is a Felici self-striping from Knit Picks. And so I decided to do red for the toes for Study in Scarlet, and I'm just knitting from the inside and outside of the ball. And yeah, you can't see the paws, but they're there. And if you like this colourway, without the grey, I mean the red, it's Felici's have brought this colourway back, I should say. And the red that I'm using is just some Miss Click Clack in her something marine. What was it called? Can't remember her. No, can't remember the sock. Mary Creek sock, maybe? But love it. And it's my Stitch and Knit Bits bag, which I love. Okay, and the next pair of socks, these are my Velvet Cloak socks. They're socks, so it's again my own, this one's my own design, I suppose you can call it that. Basically I cast on what I normally cast on for socks, toe up, Turkish cast on. The yarn is Velvet Cloak by Ren & Ollie. So this is a recent purchase. I was feeling sorry for myself, so I went and purchased it. And I'm just trying to get rid of the yarn buff. The needles I'm using are 1.75mm Chow Goose, which are 00s. And you probably can't. And the green is Malabrigo in Lettuce for the toe. And you probably can't see the heart. There's a heart design. No, you can't. So that, but there's a heart design in the in eyelets, and I'll just do that all the way up the foot. And again, like I said, it's just my own design, but I loved, see how it's got some of that swampy green, and I just thought those two go together. I don't often, I've got so much, and this is not a brag, this is basically disappointing. I've got so much self-striping stuff that it's actually, I've made it a point to just knit with some variegated, because I often see people knitting with variegated yarn making socks, and I just love the look of them, so that's why I've cast on a few of those. And of course there's more. So in my Freckle Whimsy llamas bag, blue llamas bag, I've got a couple of more socks. Couple or three? Oh, I've actually got three, not a couple. Because couple means two, y'all. These are my Are You Ready to Do the Bus Stop socks. The yarn is, because the yarn is called Dance Party. and it's a Felici, Knit Picks Felici self-striping yarn. So that's what the colourway is, and I'm just using, I think it's Razzleberry for the toe. So that's how the self-striping is. But all I'm doing is, when I get to a colour, I'm just doing a different design. So there's 1x1 rib. I don't know, is this called moss stitch? There. Just a diagonal garter there. You know, diagonal pearls. And this is kind of like a checker. So the colours don't correspond. It doesn't drive me insane. It's all good. It sucks, people. So that's another pair. And then it is Razzleberry, that blue. And then the next pair I've got is my electric lime socks, because creatively the sock yarn colour is called electric lime. And these are Knit Picks Felici as well. And I've managed to get past the heel for these ones, so it's always good. So I'm using Sour Apple for the toes and the heels. So it's a bit highlighter green. And these are the socks. So again, using 1.75 Felici. So that's what the sock itself, the sock yarn itself looks like. I mean, as if, you know, as if I wasn't going to buy those colours. And this is just the design that I'm doing. So I'm just doing 4 knit, 4 purl, and then alternating it for the next row. I'm sure somebody's got some sort of sock design called something, but that's all I'm doing. And again, I'm just doing a fleegle heel for this one as well. And then the third pair of socks in this bag, because what I kept on doing was just casting on socks, and I never got around to getting bags for them, so I just chucked them all in the same bag. And this is my river socks, and the yarn again is Felici Knit Picks in River Rock. And well, you can see the colours better on here, and so they're the colours, and I'm just doing these plain. And this is Everglade Heather from Knit Picks as well. So yeah, just knitting these up. So I don't know how many socks I've got on the needles, but you know, it's never an issue. And that's why I don't like doing socks one at a time, because I would always have second sock syndrome, I reckon. I know the secret is to cast them on, and that truly does work. So if you do suffer from second sock syndrome, I would highly, highly recommend don't finish the first sock until you're ready to finish either the cuff or the toe of the next one. Because I find that, you know, depending on whether you do top down or, you know, toe up, because I find that helps. Having said that, I do have a sock that's languishing for a year, people, because I need to do it. But anyway, so there's 3 socks in there, which all need to find their own home soon. Okay, 2 more projects, people, and then we're on to shopping. Okay, the first project that I have is the Vertices Unite shawl, which can't remember what I renamed. I have finished section 2. I know that I'm not using the recommended needles, purely because these ones were available. I'm not worried about yarn, and I'm not worried about what else? I'm not worried about size and all that sort of stuff, because I'm making a small size because I just wanted a smaller shawl. I've got a lot of patterns for larger shawls, and I didn't want to have to make this this one large. I'm using yarn that I got as in my goodie bags for the last 2 wool gathering retreats, and if I don't have enough, I'll just wait for next year's wool gathering retreat and just keep on adding, because I just wanted that to be the memory of the retreat, because I really do enjoy going to it. So I've done section 1, which is this section here, and I ran out of yarn, so you can see there. So these are, I think, Circus Tonic Handmade, and the Bright Pop of Colour one is from We Love Knitting. They don't have names because they're samples. These weren't given as samples, but these are two of the first Polworth yarns that I bought from Tandy, so I use those. So it's two different greens. So I've finished section 2, and I haven't started section 3, and I'll probably start that sometime soon. But yeah, I just got a whole bunch of yarns from both retreats, and I'll just keep on adding and using those yarns as I see fit. And it's just a really enjoyable knit because you're knitting in sections. So whilst because the pattern comes in 2 sizes, and whilst the shawl will be big, because you're knitting in sections, I think it's a bit of more of a fun knit rather than having like 600 stitches on the needle at one shot. So I'm looking forward to actually knitting the next section for that one. And the last project I've got to show you today is my Agnes cardigan. The pattern is by Baby Cakes, called Vodka Lemonade. The yarn that I'm using is Bendigo Woolen Mills in Stella in cast iron. So that's how the colour looks. So it's charcoal, like it's a deep blue black. I mean, sometimes I swear that it's more black, and other times I swear that it's the deepest navy blue that you can get. So the last time I showed you, I had knit up to here. So I've got quite a bit on, because remember, I'm knitting a freaking big size. I think I'm knitting the 4XL, but I have a feeling that I might have overestimated my size. So what I'm going to do is put these on bigger needles, like extra needle, you know how you can unscrew and put more wire and put a connector and blah blah blah, and try it on, remeasure myself, and if the shoulders are too wide, what I'll do, like if the armholes are too wide, I'll just rip it back and stop increasing at an appropriate point, and joining the armholes. But I'm really loving it. I love the colour. This is something that I'm basically making as an everyday cardigan for work. I wear black cardigans all the time, so it's quite natural that I would want to finally make one. And that's why I'm purposely using a metal based needle, so there's a contrast between the needle colour and the yarn colour as well. So that's that one, and this is in my Creative Garage bag, which I love. It's lovely. Before I get on to my purchases, I decided I better do a draw for my Scrappy September cow. Sorry, I'm just trying to get into Ravelry to see. And so on the thread, it's a chatter thread, and if the number that I pull out is a chatter, I'll just redraw it so it gets to a project. So I'll just go to the
correct one. So there are 59 posts. I'll just ask Siri. Choose a random number between 1 and 59. It's 4. It's 4. So let's choose number 4, page 1. It's a comment. Choose a random number between 2 and 59. It's 43. Okay, it's 43. 43. Sorry guys, I thought this would be quick, and it's not. That's why I usually do these not live. But I suppose people think it's a bit more above board.
Congratulations, Lime Happy Cat girl. Good on ya. That's one of her minded squares. She has posted quite a few projects, and I'm glad, or happy that she's a local girl. Glad it came up. Ooh, Phoenix Fire. Wow. But anyway, Lime Happy Cat, congratulations. Just contact me on Ravelry and tell me a pattern that you want up to the value of $7 US, and I'll give it to you. And so I'm continuing this on till December. God knows when I told you guys that this will run till, let's see, because oh yeah, I said 15 December. So at 15 December, I'll have a draw for everybody. Diane. Yeah, and I'm eager to see what pattern you choose as well. Okay, so now we're on to my purchases. These are purchases that I've made over the last 2 months since I last saw you. Yeah, so if that makes you uncomfortable, I totally understand, and I'll see you next time. I'm sure I'm not going to reveal anything other than just showing you what I purchased. Obviously, I'm not going to show you everything, but I like showing certain things so that people can get an idea of colours, because a lot of these are hand-dyed, and obviously when you see something on a seller's website, it sometimes doesn't look the same as what you get in your hands in the post. So there's no particular order. As I pick them up, I will hopefully remember where I purchased them. And yeah, so let's go. So I remember where I purchased these. So at the craft, what did they call it? The Yarn and Fibre Festival at the Darebin Arts Centre in September. I went to Swish Yarns. I love her yarns. I love the way she dyes. She does a lot of like glazing, I think, and yeah, I just enjoy it. So this particular colorway I made a hat out of at the beginning of at the middle of the year. The colorway is C1212. It's 100% wool, but I just loved it so much. I thought I think I need a pair of socks in these. So, oh, not socks, something in these, like fingerless mittens or something like that, fingerless gloves. But I just needed it in my stash for that one. That was a total ridiculous purchase. Yeah, so these two I purchased because I saw the shawl pattern. The colours are AC159 and AC162. She does have a Facebook page. I don't think I'm even on it, but otherwise she doesn't really have an online presence. But she did say she's going to open up a studio in Sydenham, so I'm looking forward to that next year as well. Just to see it there. So I thought these colours are beautiful together. Again, not usually. These are the colours I want to be as a person, but they're not usually the colours that I go for. And I saw her. This is a Fiberfest shawl. And I just took a photo of it just to remind me of why I purchased the colours. They're not coming up right, but yeah, I thought they worked well together. So hopefully I'll make that shawl with those two. I've already put the pattern, and I'm just about to put these with the pattern, so I know that they go together. These two yarns I picked up from Angie's Studio Yarn. She has an Etsy store. I picked one at the Black and Coloured Sheep Fibre Festival in Pakenham, and one at the Yarn and Fibre Festival at Darebin. She doesn't name things. So I saw this, and it's got sparkle, and I was really in the mood for sparkle, and she was the only one that had anything with stellina in it. She doesn't name her yarns, so I've called this Robin Sparkles. And if you know that reference, I love you and you're my kind of people. Let's go to the mall today. And this one again is a fingering. So her 4-ply sock yarn is 400 metres and 437 yards. I'm pretty sure she has an Etsy store, and that'll be confirmed by, oh, she has a, Angie's Studio Yarn on Etsy as well. And so I just bought this one. So I've been into the blues lately, which is so not my thing, but like that one. But I like the double denim one. Well, I originally called it like double denim on Ravelry when I was stashing it, but I thought, no, it's Robin Sparkles. At the Heather Maid stand, I bought those socks that I showed you earlier. I bought that yarn, and also bought, I think I bought another three self-striping, but it might have been at both markets. It was definitely split between the two markets. So this one is called Autumn. And this one is called Support Your Sister, which the colours look like that it might be a leftover from the Tits Out Collective yarn dyeing. So I saw it and I thought, oh, I have to have it. Don't you just love it, the yellow? And I just bought some other toe and heel yarn from her in the minis, and I love the fact that they're already wound up, which makes life a lot easier. And then from Ayshxo Bunny, I just realised that I've got a lot of her fibre, but I've never bought her. I don't think I've bought her yarn. I'm pretty sure I haven't. So I bought this, and this is her Silver Star sock. And these are in her Sexy Scientist or Sexy Tech People line. And this is Sexy Weatherman. And I just, again, it was that sparkle thing. I had to get the Stellina. I loved it, so I love the colours of that one too. So I bought that. And then Bryony from By Bryony, she's been going down the natural dyeing route as well as using a lot of non-split superwash yarn. So I purchased this from her. It's 150 grams and it's called My Favourite Teddy Bear. And I think I might do one of her shawl designs with this one. And I loved. And this is her Bandicoot fingering, 4-ply, 100% Victorian Polworth, 530 metres, 150 grams. So I just like that. How pretty is that? So I haven't quite decided, but I might make the Patience shawl with that one. Not long to go, guys. I just bought some sock yarn. She doesn't do the other colours, the Swiss yarns, but she had some variegated ones that are actual sock yarn. So I just got 50 grams of that because that's enough for a pair of socks for me. And then last week I went to a crafty sort of thing at in Werribee, and they had a Christmas stally thing there, and I bought for the first time in my life, and if you're on Insta you would know, I bought a sweater quantities worth of yarn from Swiss Yarns because I was sick as a dog and I dragged myself out and I got that. How cool. Oh, I loved it. Originally I bought 2 of these and another colour, and I walked out and I was having a coffee and I've gone, just buy a sweater quantity and stop buying, you know, Wonder Skeins. So the colourway is AC201. So if you ever see, you can ask. But I loved it. Of course, it means that you know, you have to do the whole using 2 skeins at a time. But what I might do is use 1 skein and then after whatever rows start then doing the play with the 2 yarns. And because for the market that I went to at Pakenham, the Coloured Sheep Show thing, I went with a girlfriend and I thought, do you want to go to, like, we went to Maker on the way home, which is a yarn store in Lygon Street, and so I had to buy some yarn from there. Theoretically it was going to be my last purchase, but quite clearly it wasn't because I bought some last week I should say. So I picked up this Red and Ollie, which is very similar to Velvet Cloak but not. But I always pick up this skein. It's Red and Ollie Wildflower. I just love the colourway. And I just bought a contrasting one for toes. So, like I said, I'm really into that variegated sock yarn to actually use for socks at the moment. So I'm looking forward to actually caking this one up and starting to knit with that. That's it, guys. Can you believe it? We're at the end. I promise not to be so long next time, but I was feeling a bit better today, and that's why I filmed today. I was going to hold off until this all cleared up, but I was having a good day and I want to speak to you guys. Like I said, I do have that knit along going on. You can knit, crochet, whatever. Loom knit. I'm not fussed. It's, you know, unless it's... I'm not fussed. Have a look to see what other people have been completing. Feel free to make comments, because you feel free to chat there, because it's all about people speaking to each other and meeting new people. That's all I've got. I love the TV show Bodyguard. So if you have Netflix, you've got to watch it so we can discuss. I love it. I haven't watched it again yet. Loving the episodes of Riverdale. It's my guilty pleasure. It's so bad. It's so good. It's so bad. It's so good. But otherwise, everything's fine here. You know, it's busy for me at work, like it always is, but that's why I do all this crafty stuff to keep me sane. Hope you're all well. If you have any questions, put them down below, or visit my Ravelry page, or just hit me up on Insta as well. Take care, guys. Love you all, and I'll speak to you soon. Ciao.